So let me see if I can get these working. Alright, it looks like Twitch is up. And oh, would you look at that? YouTube is also up.
Oh my.
Yeah.
Alright, so I guess we are live now.
Awesome.
Hey, okay. Exciting.
Yep. I mean, we can keep on talking about power washers while we wait for them.
Yeah. Well, all right. Now that I know how much power washers are, I feel like I definitely want one. My house is filthy, so you know that'd be amazing.
Yeah, I think the only problem you'd run into is if the power washer gets dirty.
Oh no.
Would you have to get a second power washer?
I mean, it has a hose, right? Or a nozzle, whatever that thing is, a rod of some kind?
Yeah, it's like a spray nozzle.
Yeah, so, I mean, if that's the dirty part, but, you know, you could traditionally wash that. Although, I mean, who wouldn't want two power... You have to have two power washers because then you can have power washer fights.
Alright, sorry.
That's both true and dangerous.
Hey.
Yeah, probably.
Hello.
Hey.
Hello.
Hello.
Look, I am Rico. I am very late, and that is a very, very, very big thing.
It's alright,
Wow,
we're just talking about power washers.
Oh, good God.
You are not even the latest person.
Yeah, no worries. Well, hey, I mean, there's, I feel like enough people here that we could at least get started a bit. Talk about Yeld
Yeah,
a
sure.
little bit.
Yeah.
Okay.
Let's
I don't know how familiar you guys are. Do you guys have any previous experience with Yeld at all?
I've not, but I have read like not enough of Modest Medusa. I started reading it, and then at some point I just kind of said that's enough for now.
I read a decent amount of the book, but
Okay.
I didn't get around to making my character.
Oh, that's just fine. We thought that's what we'd do today. We'd walk everybody through character creation. We'd give everybody a chance to so that we can all get it. I can't talk. Sorry. What I was going to say was we'd give everybody a chance to introduce their characters. We can all meet each other. We can all talk about how we know each other, and then we'll be ready to play next week.
Yeah.
Oh, cool, cool.
Yeah, it's always best to make sure everybody makes their characters together, just because it helps build relationships early on, right? Trying to figure out, you know, maybe who's related to who or who's best friends with who.
Yeah, the premise here is that you're a group of kids from our world who, you know, all know each other. Maybe you all go to school together, or you live in the same neighborhood, or maybe you're related. And that way, when you travel through the magical door to Yeld, when you discover Yeld, you already have these relationships that you can build on.
Yeah. Try and skip out on some of that awkward first meeting things.
Right.
Oh god, I hate the awkward first meeting stuff. I mean, it can be fun as well, but so often it's, you know, the stuff you want to skip over, the stuff you want to say, let's get past this so we can get to the meat of the game.
Yeah.
It's definitely that struggle of either you make it interesting and there's immediate conflict, or you both just go, yeah, we're trustworthy, let's walk, you know. And it's, I don't know, either way, it's sort of a mess.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But yeah, making sure that everything's kind of defined a little bit beforehand helps. It also, to make sure that nobody overlaps, right? Nobody can have the same friend type, you know, that kind of deal. Friend types are important jobs that you're going to get later on. You all have to be unique. Yeah, so for this session, we're not worried too much about using Roll20 or some other, you know, system for that. We're just making characters, so no need to do that. I think outside of age, there's no rolling required, but we will want to roll for that when building characters.
All right.
Yeah.
I don't know if you guys checked out the stuff Jake had posted a little bit earlier. It has some of the character creation stuff ready to go.
Yeah, we have a short character creation document which is just cropped right out of the book, and that just has 2.5 pages on the simple dice roll mechanics, which, you know, if you all want to look over that before we play next week, but you don't have to. And then also it has the 3 pages of character creation, which we're going to walk through tonight.
All right.
And that'll set us up. We'll start with choosing our ages and our birthdays. We'll talk about what kind of friends we are, how we know each other, and then we'll choose our stats, and then we'll choose our friend type, which is like our starter class.
Yeah.
And that's all pretty simple stuff.
Yep, that all sounds good.
Yeah.
Cool.
So I got the character sheet up here. I got the character PDF and the Magical Land of Yeld PDF up here, and also the beautiful MS Paint drawing.
Awesome.
This is a good collection of stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah. So for the purposes of the game we're going to be playing, I just put together a pared down character sheet. That's just a single half page, and that has all the simple information we're going to use for our first game. And then if you're going to end up playing a longer game, you would use the full character sheet, which has a lot more options on it.
Yeah, definitely expands on everything else you would need from there.
Yeah, and really, even for our first game, the character sheet isn't super necessary. Usually, it's enough to just write down, your name and your 4 stats. But character sheets are fun too.
Yep.
Yeah. It's good. Like when you sort of enter Yeld when you're having the first couple of games, you don't necessarily want to really challenge the friends too much with everything that's going on. You want them to sort of seek out the challenges they want to deal with at that time.
Yeah.
And so dice rolling has very much become mainly up to the players. Like very much, like if you want to try something, you can go ahead and do it. But there's no, no ridiculous threats coming at you yet.
Yeah, Yeld is designed to have kind of a tutorial phase where you first discover the magical land and you're going back and forth between our world and there, and you're having adventures and you're meeting monsters and meeting people and discovering treasures, and then as you get comfortable with the game, the door back to our world shuts forever and you're trapped in Yeld, and that's really where the game begins.
Yeah, that's the majority of your play is focused on that.
Yeah. But our first adventure is going to be about discovering. Well, this is actually Nick's going to be running the adventure, but I think our first adventure is going to be about discovering Yeld and stepping through the door.
Yeah, we're going to go a pretty traditional route and focus on what I think the most interesting parts of the beginning of Yeld are.
Cool.
Yep, and I believe we're doing that next week, same day. I'll have to talk to Steven about that. I think that's how we're doing it. I hope that's how we're doing it.
That's what I understand.
Yeah.
Yep. We're going to have Slaya coming in here at some point, and Steven's not going to be able to make this first one, but he's going to be here for the next session next week.
Awesome.
Yeah, and that shouldn't be a problem. We should be able to work him in just fine.
Alright.
Alright, so
he can be that kid who never shows up on time and gets left behind.
Right. So I would like to go through some of the big influences for Yeld that I think help paint the picture some more. I mean, of course, there's all of Jake's awesome all throughout that PDF that you can look at. But there's a lot of video game influences for Yeld. A lot of like classic RPGs that sort of help us structure the play of Yeld, going through collecting items to get out in the end. Very much a video game style platform.
I was going to say we wanted to make a game that really played like a combination of the Legend of Zelda, the classic Legend of Zelda games, but also like Final Fantasy and Final Fantasy Tactics. So as you play the game, I think a lot of those mechanics become more obvious and more apparent.
Yeah, I know I might get shit for saying this, but I've never played either of those games.
That's fine. That's
Fired. Get out.
That's fair. I guess just stream over. I'll go. I am home, but I'll go just leave.
Well, you definitely don't have to have that experience to enjoy the game. Another big influence is the kind of through the door adventures that are kind of classics from a lot of different genres, like Alice in Wonderland. is like the real classic of that, of the girl who goes through this doorway through a looking glass and finds another world. You know, the Narnia books, also stuff like Inuyasha, you know, where the girl goes through a well and ends up in feudal Japan and meets a demon. And stories like that where children discover this new world where they can become heroes and really change and save that world is another core idea of Yeld.
Yeah, like that one series of books that they have the Magical Treehouse that goes through time.
Yeah.
Well, wow. Wait, what is that? That sounds super familiar to me.
I know.
Yeah, I'm not sure.
I remember reading like a lot of those. I think it's just called Magic Treehouse.
Cool. Okay, I feel like that's something I encountered in my past, or maybe Nick did, and that's why we incorporated it into the game. I mean, so much of the ideas in Yeld are stuff we loved when we were kids, or love as adults, and wanted to make into a game.
The Magic Treehouse, authored by Mary Pope Osborne.
Yeah.
What was the year? What was the year on that?
The year of publication was
from 1992 to 2016.
Yep,
oh, okay.
Like a ton of these books.
There are. That's a lot of books.
Yeah, that's way too many for me to have never seen them before.
That is 55 of them.
Jesus Christ!
Yeah, it's like Goosebumps.
You can't. Who has 55 books? That's insane.
Apparently,
they're children's books, so they're pretty thin.
All right, yeah, but wow, all right, I'm impressed. I don't have 55 of anything.
I certainly can't speak to the quality of it, but like, when you're pumping out that much, some of it's got to be good.
This is the only thing Mary Pope makes. So
there are at least enough of them for me to remember it now.
I mean, presumably she's, presumably they don't take her a year to make, otherwise, like, that's an impressive amount of output, even if they're really short books.
Yeah, it looks like she's releasing about 2 a year.
Yeah.
Wow.
She's authored more than 100 books for children and young adults.
My God, what is she, just poop books? Like,
man, she put out 6 of them in 1998.
Holy crap!
It must have been a productive year for her.
Yeah, wow.
Been sitting on this work and hasn't published it. She's probably been writing these forever.
Okay, well, still.
She started in 1982 and it's still going, but she is 69 years old.
69 years old. Wow. Okay. I mean, yeah, that's great. Good for her.
Magic Magic Treehouse has been adapted into theater plays, and it also has a movie.
Hey.
Wow.
Wow. I'm Googling this now, too. It just occurred to me that I also have a computer.
Yeah, I've been looking at it. I'm just going to pull up the Amazon, or not the Amazon, the Wikipedia article on this.
Yeah, I've seen these before. Okay. Yeah, I know exactly what these are. I've never read one, but yeah.
Yeah, I remember reading a few of these.
Yeah, when I used to teach, I had some students who would bring these into class.
It's all coming together now.
Yeah.
It's
the fantasy of we want to go to a different world where we can be powerful and we can be strong and we can actually change things and have agency is, I think, pretty common for kids and kids fiction.
Wait a minute, is the movie an anime?
The movie is made.
God.
Acquired by Lionsgate.
It is an anime.
Yeah. Really?
Man, it's too bad anime was a mistake.
Oh, is that how you feel?
Not really, but a little bit. Ever since Steven sent me the Made RPG book.
Look, don't judge everything by the Made RPG book.
I was heavily involved with the Made RPG.
Wait, you were?
Yeah, I used to be I used to be one of the distributors for it.
Oh wow!
I ran a company
you're not the
called
person
Sofa.
responsible for the booze.
So
No, I'm friends with the translator and the publisher of the game.
So could you tell me who is responsible for the trait actually a guy?
I mean, I assume the original author, who I never met, but yeah.
Oh god. Man, another time I gotta talk about how I broke that game.
Sure, yeah.
As Steven tasked me to do.
Yeah, when I was talking about how I would often get embarrassed and stutter through running games in public, Maid was one of those games.
Now that is reasonable.
Yeah.
That is 100% reasonable. Like, I've seen the sample play documents for that.
That's funny. Yeah, I think that's funny because I remember flipping through that book and thinking, I don't know how to play this. Like,
Yeah.
like I'm sitting there, I'm just staring at it. I'm like, I don't know what would make this actually fun. So I feel like the entertainment that's supposed to be gotten out of it is not targeted at me, and so like I would just think, I don't know what to do with this.
That's how I felt about Pathfinder, and someone telling me use this to make a dueling character.
Sure.
Because, like, I'm used to having adventures, not fighting people one-on-one at level 20.
Sure.
Yeah, Pathfinder's got that beautiful art, though.
It's true.
I am a big fan of the Pathfinder visual aesthetic.
I am a big fan of tieflings.
Sure,
So,
yeah.
Yeah, I did like their the sort of the restructure for the races in those newer editions of like the D&D stuff and the Pathfinder stuff.
Alright,
Like, the whole
so
introduction of like the tieflings and stuff is neat.
to get my age, I roll a 6-sided die and add 6.
Yeah, okay, yeah, let's just jump right in. And other people can catch up. Yeah, starting with age. You're going to be between the age of 7 and 12, and that's really important. Your age determines a few different things in the game, but right at the beginning, it determines, how many restore rolls you're going to get and how many special dice you're going to get to start off with.
Alright. So, what are restore rolls? Or, what are restore rolls and special dice?
Let's talk about that.
Yeah, so what you're going to find is that your special dice are going to be a list of unique things that your character can do, and will have unique mechanics within the game. This includes stuff like cooking, or tripping your enemies, or doing stuff with rope, or knowing stuff about adults. Your restore rolls are effectively how you will basically heal yourself throughout the game, throughout a single adventure, and how many times you can heal yourself in a single adventure. You're going to use this to, gain back your core dice, which is your main set of dice that you're going to be using for all your rolls. And you're also going to use this to get out of the ghost world when you would be forced to become a ghost. So they both have important roles, and the older you are, the less restore rolls you have, but the more special dice you have, and the reverse for the younger.
So you're saying like 7 to 8 year olds are generally more of like the, I guess, resilient characters with these?
Yeah, as you get older in Yeld, you become more corrupted, you become more of an adult, and you're less able to easily bounce back from trauma.
Yes, this
Whereas
doesn't
a child
necessarily affect how necessarily like tough you are. You have a stat, core die specifically, that is associated with toughness. But this would, when you are defeated, when you have been struck down, this is what you would be using to get back up.
Yeah.
All right.
I am age
And
11.
okay, so if you're 11, you're probably going to be our oldest or second oldest friend, and what that means is maybe you have a sense of responsibility over the other kids, or maybe you don't. But what that also means is you just know more stuff. You know how to do more stuff, and that's represented by your special dice. Like maybe you know about karate chopping people, or maybe you know how to steal stuff. In a little bit, we're going to give you. You're going to have the ability to look through the special dice list and choose a few things you want to do.
All right.
Your age is also going to affect some of the friend types that you would have access to when you're choosing, which is the next thing we're going to choose.
Yeah. For example, if you want to play the big sister, or the big brother, you have to be the oldest friend, and if you want to play like the baby, you have to be the youngest friend.
Yeah, I just rolled a 7.
That's great.
That
So
means
you are
12.
Oh.
No, you're 13. You're dead.
No. So you would have rolled what, a 1, and then
Yeah.
your 6.
Yeah, 1 on a
okay.
D6.
So you're 7 years old. So you are going to be the youngest on that scale. So you're getting 3 restore rolls, but you're not getting any extra special dice. But this does make you eligible to be the baby.
If you want to.
And prevents you from being the big sister.
Yeah.
All right.
So once you figure out your ages, what you're also going to do is just choose a birthday at random. It doesn't matter when it is. You know, if you can use your real world birthday, or you can just make one up. And birthdays won't be important in our first game, but it's something that becomes more important as we spend time in Yeld, because as you're in Yeld, you age pretty quickly. Yeld has a really short calendar. It's only 100 days. And then the year goes by, and every year you get older, and when you turn 13, you turn into a monster, and you're stuck in Yeld forever. So our game is actually kind of on a clock. You're racing to find the magical keys that will allow you to unlock the door home before you get stuck in Yeld and can never go home.
All right.
All right, so now that you have your ages, we're going to look at the friend types. We have 9 different friend types. Originally, it was only 8 friend types, but then during our Kickstarter, we added the dog into it. So the 9 friend types are, and I'm just going to list them here really quick for you. They are Big Sister, or Big Brother, who is the oldest friend who takes care of the others. There's the Rival, who is always competing with her friends. There's the Princess, who can also be a boy, who is like the fancy friend who always gets their way. There's the Bully, who's a bully. The know-it-all is the friend who knows everything and doesn't mind telling you. The Baby is the youngest friend and the friend that needs the most help, but they're also kind of like the spirit of the friends group. There's the Brat, who's a bossy little turd and likes to throw tantrums. There's the Liar, who's like the cool kid who's dangerous and maybe he smokes and has a pocket knife. And then there's the Dog, who's a dog.
And if you keep in mind with these is that these are sort of jumping off points for role playing. They're going to have some stat effects for you, but it's sort of a baseline for you. You know, when you go into Yeld, when you're starting out, the type of friend you are, the type of kid you are, and then through your adventures, you're gonna become more mature. You're gonna age. You're gonna change.
You're going to grow from there and leave your friend type behind and become an actual hero, and you're going to be defined by your actions. Each of the friend types has a few different important things. First of all, as a friend, you get a bonus to your core dice, and we'll talk about that in a minute. You also get a specific special dice that each friend type comes with. You also have a role-playing reminder called Just Remember. For example, for the Rival, her Just Remember is anything you can do, I can do better. And that's just a kind of a reminder. If you're not sure what your character would do, just remember anything you can do, I can do better, and that's a jumping off point for you.
I'm going to be a bully.
You should be a bully. Bullies are fantastic. Bully is probably my favorite friend type. The Bullies Just Remember is violence solves problems, and that's a great role-playing aid, I think. The Bully also...
It certainly helps in Yeld to have that mentality.
It really does. The Bully gets +1 strong core dice, and we'll talk about our core dice in a minute, but for now you can just write that down. And then he gets the special dice Trip. And Trip is a great dice for using in fights, and we'll see how that works a little later. It is important to note that that you can't have 2 friends of the same type, so you can't have 2 bullies or 2 dogs or 2 know-it-alls.
A whole group of bullies just
punching their way through the magical land.
It's like,
Right.
fuck
All right.
you up.
I like.
And here's the thing. Yeah, you could totally do that. You could have just 5 know-it-alls or 4 princesses and stuff, but we really feel the game works much better if you have a mix of friends. Although 5 bullies sounds fantastic, actually.
It's like we ran Yeld. We were a gang.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
When we grew up and became, adults, we all became venture capitalists and hedge fund managers who bully people financially.
Yeah.
Right.
So, once you decide your friend type, once you decide which friend you're going to be, what we're going to do is we're going to record our core dice. And our core dice, if you look at the character sheet, there's a space along the top for writing the 4 core dice, and that's strong, smart, tough, and brave. And these are the dice you're going to roll every time you do something. Every time you do anything in Yeld, the Game Master is going to have you choose one of those dice, like strong, for example, and roll it. For example, if you want to climb a tree, they'll say, "Well, roll your strong dice." If you want to, if you want to not get scared by a ghost, they'll have you roll your brave dice. If you want to get punched in the face, you'll roll your tough dice. You probably don't want to get punched in the face, but that's why you roll your tough dice. So each friend starts with 1 of each core dice: 1 tough, 1 smart, 1 brave, and 1 strong.
Before we jump ahead, I'm sorry, Evan. Did you figure out what you wanted to be?
I'm gonna be a baby.
Oh,
you're gonna be
okay, cool.
Oh god,
Yeah.
I'm gonna bully the shit out of you.
Oh, jeez.
That's actually a great dynamic.
Brave and cry, it looks like. So +1 brave core die. Cry.
Yeah.
Cry is great. You can use cry instead of, normally you would roll tough dice to resist an attack, but instead you get to roll cry, and I think it's with your smart dice. And if you succeed, the monster doesn't want to attack you. They feel bad, so they go attack somebody else, like the bully.
Yeah.
So it's a handy little die to have.
Yeah, in their own way, the baby's kind of a reverse bully.
Anyway,
So, yeah, so you have your 4 core dice. You have 1 tough, 1 strong, 1 brave, and 1 smart. And your friend type adds 1 additional die to that. For example, the bully gets +1 strong, and the baby gets +1 brave.
so right now you guys should have a total of 5 core dice.
Yeah, and in addition to those 5 dice, you can choose 1 more die to add to that. So you can take 1 extra strong, 1 extra tough, 1 extra brave, or 1 extra smart. So you'll have 6 dice in total.
A good thing to remember is if you don't know exactly what you want to do, tough is always a great thing to have more of, because it's going to keep you alive.
Tough is, in a lot of ways, it's like both your hit points and your armor. Every time a monster attacks you or another friend attacks you, you're going to roll your tough dice as defense, and the more tough dice you have, the better. But also, when you take damage, you'll lose a tough die. And there's ways, and there's things in Yeld as well that'll cause you to lose smart dice or strong dice or brave dice as well. But usually, when you get hit, you're going to lose tough dice. So the more tough dice you have, the tougher you're going to be.
I have 3 strong die.
Yeah.
Well, in that case, you're going to beat the hell out of anybody who you come across, and that's fantastic.
Yeah.
So is this kind of like a point by where you put a certain amount of dice into each place?
Well, you have the 6 dice in total, and that's all you're going to have until you take on a job later on. So, like I said before...
Yeah, these core dice, these are what you're rolling with everything. They don't really change throughout the game. You're going to set them, and then you're going to gain more when you get a heroic job. You're going to gain 2 more after that. But there are no mechanics that would enhance those dice. You would spend what is essentially an experience to be gaining more special dice or special treasure.
Yeah. And there's other things that will give you more dice to roll as well. Like Nick said, there's special dice, so there's also dice from weapons and equipment.
Alright, so just setting up now, however, I would choose how many dice to put into each attribute.
No,
yeah,
so
well, you'll
No,
go ahead. Yeah, you'll start with one in each.
One in each. You're going to get one from the friend type you chose, so it means you'll have an extra brave. So you're going to have 2 brave instead of 1 there. And then after that's done, you're going to get to choose one of your those core stats, the core dice, and you get to increase one of those. So you could bring your brave up to 3, you could bring your strong up to 2, you could bring your tough up to 2.
I'll bring my tough up to 2. You know, all that bullying has really helped.
Yeah. That's a great idea.
Yeah. Okay, let's talk a little bit about what you actually use these dice for. Strong is used primarily for attacking monsters, but it's also used for stuff like climbing trees or swimming and, you know, physical activities. So when you make attacks, you're always going to roll your strong dice with those attacks. Smart is used for solving problems. It's used for talking to people. It's also used for casting spells and resisting spells. So if you're trying to cast a spell on a monster, you're going to roll your smart dice. And if a monster tries to cast a spell on you, you're going to roll your smart dice to resist that spell. Tough is used for resisting attacks. It's also used for quite a few other things, but mostly for resisting attacks. So the tougher you are, the better you are at shrugging off damage. Also, the more tough dice you have, the better armor you can wear. Brave is used for a lot of different things. It's a measure of how courageous you are, but it's also how fast you are. You use Brave to move. Yeld uses an action board for combat, and it's a grid that you move around, and you can move one space on the action board during your turn for each Brave dice you have. And that's it. And
Brave is also associated with things that you would do while you're a ghost. And inevitably,
right, yes.
At some point, you're going to die. That happens.
Yeah.
You'll be a ghost during that time. And while you were a ghost, Brave is often the dice you're going to roll, but it also becomes your temporary health in place of your toughness. Because tough would normally, but would be what you would lose when getting hit. When you're a ghost, you lose Brave.
Yeah. Also, when you are a ghost, or even when you're not a ghost, when it's time to make a restore roll so you can gain back lost core dice, you're going to roll your Brave dice, and you're going to refer to the restore roll table.
So yeah, Brave definitely has an important role, much like Tough, that is sort of focused on keeping you alive.
Yeah. It's easy to say that at the beginning of the game, at the start of a Yeld adventure, probably Tough is the most important of your core dice, but really each of the core dice are equally important. You know, Strong is super important, Smart is super important, and we purposely designed it so you can't have a high stat in each one. You have to really choose which one is important to your character and go with that one. But also you can use equipment and special dice to really modify what you do. So even though it doesn't look like you have very many dice available to you right now, for example, with your baby, you're only going to be rolling one strong dice when you make attacks. As you progress very quickly, you'll find that you are rolling all kinds of dice to do all kinds of different crazy things.
All right.
Speaking of which, let's talk about special dice. We mentioned it a little bit before, but special dice are kind of like action buttons you can push to get neat attacks and neat effects. What a special dice is it's a special rule that you can add to one of your core dice rolls. For example, if you have, well, the bully has the trip special dice. And what this is it's a single 6-sided die, and when the bully can make a normal attack using his strong dice, and he'll roll all 3 of his strong dice. You have 3 strong, correct?
I do.
Okay, so you'll roll all 3 of your strong dice. But if you decide you want to make a trip special die, or a trip special attack, what you can do is you can declare that you can add your trip die to those dice, which would give you 4 dice to roll. And you can make the attack, and if you succeed, your target, instead of losing a tough die like they would from a normal attack, they'll instead lose a brave and a strong dice.
Nice.
Yeah, and there's lots of different special dice. If you look through the starter character PDF we gave you, there's a 4-page list of special dice. Some of those you add to attacks. Some of those are you add to smart dice when you're trying to solve puzzles or negotiate with people. Some of them help you defend yourself against attacks or against magic. Some of those help you move better by jumping or running or swimming.
Yeah. And at the end of your sessions, you're going to sometimes get reward dice, and reward dice are what you're going to use to get more special dice. You're going to spend those. You're going to choose new special dice for your friends.
Yeah. Yeah.
And that's sort of how you're going to power up and
Yeah.
be capable of defeating the bosses you need to fight. So let's look at here. So Evan is at age 7, so you're not going to get any extra special dice right now. Rico, however, is, let's see, you're going to be at age 11, so you're going to get 2 extra special dice. So if you want to look over that list, you can choose any 2 that you want from it, and go ahead and add those to your sheet as well. Like you said, you have Trip, which is a great sort of tool in combat to fight opponents who are, fast, strong, and trying to deal with them before they take you out. And so there's several things you're going to find on here that are very much combat focused, but there's a lot of other special dice that are focused on doing other types of challenges, stuff like climbing or swimming. And then there's going to be special things like cleaning or fishing or sewing that you can do that are unique special dice that have some special effects.
Yeah. There's no really bad choices for special dice. One of the things we talk about in the Yeld rulebook is that when you choose your special dice, one of the things you're doing is you're telling your game master what you want the game to actually be about. So if you choose the cooking special die, for example, what you're saying is, I want to do cooking in the game, let's do cooking, can I please have a chance to do cooking? We wanted to avoid the old favored enemy problem from classic D&D where you say I'm a ranger and my favorite enemy is goblins, and then the game master goes, okay, so we'll never face goblins. So in addition to the special die that comes with your friend type, which is, for the baby that's Cry and for the bully that's Trip, and in addition to the special dice you may get from your age, which is either none or 2 extra ones. Each of you also gets to choose 1 more special die at the start of character creation. And that can be anything you want it to be. You can have more than 1 of the same special dice. For example, you can have 2 trip dice, or 2 break dice, or 2 disarm dice, or 2 I know about grown-ups dice. There's a few exceptions to that. Some of the special dice have a tag that says solo on it, and that means you just buy it once and it has a specific effect.
The other thing is that you can never have more than 3 ranks in a die.
Yeah, that's true.
But there are things that might surpass that. So, for example, you might have 3 ranks in the break special die, but you also might be using a club weapon, which gives you more break. So you would get to add those together. But your character by themselves can only ever have 3 ranks.
Huh.
That's pretty cool.
Yeah.
So, say I wanted to have 3 trip.
Yeah. Yeah, you could totally have 3 trip, and then if later on in the game you find a tripping whip that also has 3 trip dice, that gives you 6 trip dice to roll in addition to your whatever strong dice you have, which means you're going to be tripping the hell out of everybody.
Yeah, you can just trip the entire magical land and then go home.
Dude, you're going to be tripping balls.
Literally, a basketball laying on the ground trips it. It's like, it's not even physics.
You just gotta watch out for legless creatures.
And it's really easy to be like, oh, I want, fight dirty, and I want trip, and I want that. And that's totally an option. You can totally go that way. But yeah, make sure, just look over everything, see if there's anything else. It's good not to overlook stuff like I know about monsters, or I know about grown-ups. Or even something like Grateful Dead, which is just a super handy special die that just makes you better at doing stuff as a ghost. So anytime you're a ghost, you just get to add your Grateful Dead dice to what you're doing.
Another great special die is the First Aid special die, which allows you to spend 1 of your restore rolls to help on a friend to help them heal, and that's really good if you are a friend who has a lot of restore rolls, but your buddy has almost none.
All right.
But really, just choose something that sounds neat. That's the best way to go. There's a few of them on here that are specific to the dog that you can only take if you're a dog. So that would be Barf and Bite.
Yeah, and they have a tag listed with them as well. So that says dog.
I would love to be like a 7-year-old that just bites people. I mean, it's more or less accurate to real life.
I mean, you can bite everybody. You just don't get. Oh, yeah. I mean, this is worth mentioning. You can bite whoever you want. You just don't use the bite special die for it. That's just a normal attack. You just don't get them. Similarly, you can trip people even if you don't have the trip special die. You just don't get the special benefit of tripping. Like, you can still sweep their leg.
Yeah, well, the descriptions are a flavor for the role-playing context, but not necessarily a restriction, you know?
Yeah.
The other thing is, if you really are, really want to bite people, and you really want to use the bite special die, when you turn 13 and you're forced to become a monster, several of the monsters bite. So,
yeah.
In due time.
Yeah.
Oh my god, I can become a firebug. That's just an arsonist.
Yeah, alright, so all of these special dice are based on things that Nick and I used to do when we were kids.
Oh god.
Yeah.
Awesome.
Yeah. And sometimes when we play the game with people, people get a little mad about it because there's stuff like lying and arson and shoving and stuff like that, and they're like, kids don't do that, and we're like, you don't know children.
Kids don't set shit on fire.
Did you just?
Yeah.
That's literally one of the.
That is implying that kids don't lie.
Yeah. So I was a teacher for many years, and kids are awful. I mean, I love kids, but kids are awful. And parents would come in all the time, and they'd be like, my kid would never do that. And I'd be like, you've never met your kid before, clearly. Kids do all kinds of crazy stuff.
My son would never spit in another child's mouth.
Right.
I think you need to have a talk with your son then.
Well, yeah. I'm becoming an arsonist.
Okay, great.
Do it.
Firebug is a lot of fun, and you have a lot of brave dice, so that's a good choice for you.
Yeah. The effect of fire in Yeld is very important. It is both just the natural cleansing that fire is, but it also is a magical force. It's a unique mechanic within Yeld. And so some of the jobs, like Witch Hunter, use the fire effect to their advantage more than other jobs would. But it's always useful to have.
Yeah. The Firebug die does require you to have a source of fire to use it, like a torch or matches. Matches are a disposable item in Yeld, so every time you use them, they're gone. But one of the things we were going to talk about in just a second is that when you create a character, you get to choose a home item. And a home item is something that your kid has from their home that they bring with them to Yeld. And that can be something like a lighter or a baseball bat or a warm jacket, and it has a small rule effect. And in the case of the lighter, which is one of the items we have in the book, that's something that can be used as a match item over and over again. So if you wanted to use that to start fires, that would be the home item you could choose.
You may bully me, but I have the power of fire on my side.
Yeah, and all of a sudden I can see your relationship. I mean, it's very clear to me.
Oh, jeez. I don't want to hurt nobody.
Get in there! Quit being a baby!
I don't want to light nobody on fire.
Set him on fire!
Oh, yay!
Man up!
See, I feel like he's the kid who goes to Yeld and he starts hearing voices from sources of fire, and they talk to him and tell him stuff.
Yeah.
They're more comforting to him than his party.
Right. And then when he turns 13, he becomes some kind of horrible fire monster.
He becomes fire.
Yeah, he's just fire. That's it. Oh, okay. And so the last thing we do with the character creation steps is you choose your name. You can also, something we sometimes like to do, and when we mention this in the book as well, is you can not choose your name, and instead your friends can choose a nickname for you. Sometimes that can be fun, and sometimes that's exactly something you don't want to do. So, it depends on what you guys want to do.
Alright, I need you to pick a nickname for me.
Weasel.
Weasel.
Nice.
Yeah, Weasel's good. Yeah, we had a game where all of our friends were at a camp. That's where the game had started, and so we all had camp names. Like Jake's character was Tuesday because he showed up a day late. Oh gosh, what was everybody else's?
Our counselor's name was Fat Lord because he was fat.
Yeah, that's right.
And I'm blanking on everybody else, but Bill, Josh.
Yeah.
One of the girls had a boy name because nobody knew she was a girl. Anyway,
yeah,
stuff like that.
But yeah, it's always fun to kind of do that too.
Yeah.
The other thing that you guys can sort of hash out a bit is maybe how you two know each other. Do you live on the same block? You know, do you play together? You know, during recess at the same school?
There's a pretty big age gap here, so I mean, it's probably you go to the same school, but you're certainly not in the same class. Well, unless our bully's been held back for 4 years.
Well, he only has one smart.
So
does our fun, brave protagonist.
You're 7.
That's true.
Yeah.
He only has one smart, and his parents are not too concerned. They saw the writing on the wall early. And they're like, we'll just sort this out later.
All right. Well, actually,
real good.
Yeah. How about this? Before we decide how you two know each other, why don't you take turns telling us actually who you are? Like, if you don't mind, would you repeat your stats for us, and then just tell us a little bit about your character?
All right. You want to go first, or do you want me to go first?
All right. Well, I guess I'll go first. You know, I'm 7 years old. My name is Weasel. Spelled Weezle.
Yeah. Hi, Weasel.
I'm a baby, you know. I got 1 strong, 1 smart, 2 tough, and 2 brave, you know.
Okay.
I don't want to hurt nobody. Oh, I don't. Oh. I know how to cry and burn things.
Nice.
What I really want to know is who gave me this lighter.
Yeah, that's a good question. Where did it come from?
Did I just go off and steal a lighter from the kitchen?
Okay.
Now I'm curious, do you cry after burning stuff or before burning stuff?
Before, after, and during.
What's the worst thing you've ever burned? It doesn't have to be super dark if you want. It could just be like you burned some mail or something.
I burned my backpack.
Yeah, that's a little sad.
I was trying to light my homework on fire and it just caught.
Aw.
That's how it is.
Yeah, see, now I have all the sympathy in the world for this kid.
Oh, jeez.
Then my character's gonna be much less endearing, almost instantaneously.
Okay, tell us about him. What's his name?
My character's name is Francis, but he hates it being called Francis, so he keeps trying to tell everybody his name is El Jefe.
Nice.
He's 11 years old. He has 3 strong, 1 tough, 1 smart, 1 brave. He is a bully.
Where does his strong come from? Is he like a huge kid, or is he like super fat, or does he work out all the time, or is he just like one of those naturally strong kids?
Is he strong fat?
Yeah, that would be a good estimation. He's like strong fat. Like he's always been big for his age. So yeah, he's like what he didn't get blessed with in intelligence, he got blessed with in body mass and physical strength.
Nice.
He is a Lenny in training, really.
So who is the oldest kid he's managed to bully?
The oldest kid he's managed to bully was actually 13.
Oh
wow!
I was about to say his parents.
No.
Are his parents afraid of him?
His parents are the white whale. They are his white whale. He hopes to be able to bully his parents one day.
Nice.
Oh man, what a fucked up kid just going, I want to bully my parents someday.
He's like got all of the aggressive maladjustedness of BoJack Horseman, but in child form.
Jesus.
Right,
okay,
so
great.
Like he's not a thinker. He just kind of solves all of his day-to-day problems with violence.
Yeah.
It's like can't get the door open. Violence.
Didn't do my
Don't know how to
homework.
open.
Violence.
It's like teacher asks him to redo homework. Violence.
Real quick, is it violence against the teacher or violence against like some other random kid?
It's
or is it just like
it's like he just throws things. It's like, this is all you're getting.
oh my god, I've had that kid in my class before. Yeah.
Just throws the notebook at you. Like, no, done. Redo it. No.
So are you two actually friends, or do you just know each other? Are you related?
Honestly, it sounds like they're in detention together, if anything.
Yeah, I can see that.
Yeah, I can see
in
that.
detention, heading to juvie.
It's like Francis. Francis enjoys bullying Weasel, but he also is like, it's his personal project to make him his first underling.
Oh yeah, this is the beginning of your gang.
Yeah, he just, Weasel is just, a little boy that just, wants to fit in and has a lighter. And that's a very dangerous combination.
Yeah.
I can see that. Wow, yeah. Okay. Yeah, that's a great start.
Yeah, so...
Yeah, I wish our third player was here so we could work them in.
Yeah, I'll see if I can hit up Steve and see if he's
Well, if they're not available, that's just fine. I think we have a good basis to start next week, and because of that, we can work them in pretty easily.
Yeah, not too many problems there at all.
Yeah.
And we can certainly, devote some time to integrating them in, talking about how you guys would know them, finding a good place for them between the two of you.
So, Nick, I don't know if you already have the session planned out or if you want to go through the title stuff.
Yeah, so I put out a title, and it is not necessarily what we need to use. It was just sort of a little thing to have out there in the description for the game on the Discord. But how it usually works is that we are going to, as a group, decide on a few things. Each of you wants to, decide something they want to see in the game. For example, Weasel might say, I want to light something on fire, right? And Francis might say something like, I want to, trip as many kids as I can today. And so our adventure will be, about tripping and lighting stuff on fire. And we will find an adventure title that fits that. And so that's usually how we're going to build it, definitely focusing on what the players want to try and do. And as we get farther and farther into Yeld, there's going to be more stuff happening. There's going to be events that we can try and go to. There's holidays in Yeld. And as the group, we can say, oh, we all want to participate in Chef's Day. So this adventure will be about us getting to Boulder Town so we can enjoy cheesesteaks, So what I want to do is, I think for right now, let's just go ahead and have you guys think about what you want to do, maybe what you would like to see in the first game. And I want to hear what the others kind of want to see in the first game, so we'll talk about it, and then we'll sort of build from there. It'll be really light, the first session, so I won't need a lot of prep time or anything for it.
Alright, so trip 3, and cost that only actually, since I'm a bully, that actually only cost me 2 special die.
Right.
And last one standing.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah, that's a very useful die to have.
Especially in a small group.
Yeah, the fewer friends there are in a group, the stronger that die becomes.
Yeah.
Oh my god. Add strong, smart, and tough rolls. Add to strong, smart, and tough rolls if you are the last living friend during a fight.
Right.
Yeah, it can be really useful. And one of the neat things you can do is if you have other friends and they know you have that, they can choose stuff that makes them better as a ghost and then purposely get themselves killed. So you're the last friend standing, but then they're running around doing ghost stuff as a ghost.
It's like, steal his shit, break him out.
And it's great because being a ghost isn't necessarily, it's not an end for you as a character. As a ghost, you still have lots of stuff you can do. You can just participate. And that's really important, right? We don't want anybody to feel like they're just on the sidelines doing nothing.
Yeah.
So the ghost
world
is full of weird and interesting stuff.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, you can fight other ghosts. You can buff your allies by doing ghost actions on them. You can harass enemies by doing ghost actions on them. You can like search around for neat ghost stuff and ghost merchants that you can buy neat stuff from.
Yeah. You'll also find that there's consequences to just killing monsters. If you go around murdering every monster you see, you're going to find that when you do turn into a ghost, there's a lot of other angry ghosts who want to do So there's a good balance to decide, oh, do we need to murder this monster today? Because, the next time one of us die, he's going to punch us right in the face.
Yeah, sometimes negotiating with a monster or scaring a monster off or capturing a monster is a much better option.
Yeah. All right, that sounds great.
Oh wow, you're burning everything up.
Yeah, the flammable.
That's awesome.
The flammable Land of Yeld.
Nice.
Yeah.
Yeah, you guys are gonna rule this kingdom in like a week.
Oh yeah, it's gonna be pretty brutal. I'm curious.
It's gonna be like
if our other player is going to take a very different tone. We'll have the two of you, in your hyper aggression and fire, and then somebody else just very nice and very sweet and.
Yeah, I don't think we should tell them at all what you two are like, and they'll just be like the transfer student who comes in from like the nice, private school and is like, I just want to be friends with everybody, and then you kill them.
Yeah.
Or something.
I mean,
it's like, yeah, cool.
I like to think I'm not violent. I just get persuaded into violence.
Yeah, sure. That's reasonable.
I like to think that I am a master of violence.
That is also reasonable.
I am the chief.
Oh yeah.
A big part of Yeld as a game is about, you start out as children and, you never really become adults, but you become teenagers and you grow up a little bit. And it's about how you leave your, roles as bully and baby and whatever behind. And it'll be interesting to see if you guys actually do that or if you, like, sink deeper into your negative qualities and really become monsters.
Yeah,
or if it's somewhere in between.
Remember, if anybody tells you to change, don't. Double down. If anything, do more.
Just like
just dig deeper. Yeah, just dig in and wallow in it.
Oh yeah, and Yeld is definitely a place like for both of those sides, right? Like Yeld is built and designed in a way where it's like, it's okay to be just goody two-shoes heroes and really adapt to that role, or to just be monstrous.
Yeah.
And choose to give into that, because that is a big thing of Yeld, is that everything sooner or later becomes a monster.
Yeah.
So those themes
which can be
well.
Yeah, and it can be. There's a lot of interesting contrast there. You can decide that becoming a monster and becoming more powerful, but also more darker and evil, is actually a good thing for you as a person. It gives you power and agency, and it you're awful now, but you're also you're able to do good things you couldn't do before. And and the flip side of that is you can grow up to be this noble hero who's actually kind of a dick and takes advantage of people and is really selfish. So there's lots of room for character development.
Yeah.
Anyway, we're not going to get nearly that far. We're gonna have a nice little adventure where you find a magic door and meet some monsters and probably burn them. Yeah.
Yeah, I'm just waiting to be like tossed forward with the lighter.
For each job grants a unique job ability as well as 2 additional core dice, 2 additional special dice, a list of weapons that they.
Yeah. So once the door to the real world closes, you become trapped in Yeld. You have the opportunity to choose jobs, and those are more powerful. That's how you get more core dice. That's how you get like all the cool weapons you can use, and a lot more special dice and a job ability. You can become stuff like black mages or witch hunters, and that's more powerful stuff.
Each one also is an important sort of archetypical hero in Yeld and its history. So what you're going to find is that each one has sort of a backstory of what they represent in the world and how they've influenced the world, and sort of what roles they play as heroes or as, a heroic job would be.
Yeah. Like, if you decide to be... Yeah, if you decide to become an Oathbreaker, what that means is you are a rebel who stood up for the people against the evil vampire prince, and the people you meet are going to expect you to protect them, and they're going to expect you to be a rebel, but they're also going to aid you and help you. And the prince's minions are constantly going to be hunting you and harassing you. Whereas if you decide to become a witch hunter, that means you are known for hunting down evil magic users and burning them. And the people of Yeld are actually pretty scared of you because the witch hunters have caused a bunch of destruction in the past. But they also know that if there's a rogue magic user out there causing trouble, or a witch out there burning stuff down, that the witch hunter is the best person to call. So
this kid in the witch hunter drawing looks like he's just seen the worst car crash ever.
Yeah. I mean,
this 1,000-yard stare, sir.
Oh, I gotta find this.
Witch hunter is traumatizing. Like, the act of being a witch hunter is a fairly traumatizing thing.
Yeah, when you get a job and they say, hey, part of the job is burning people at stakes, that's pretty scary.
And also, you need to wear this mask because if people see your face, they're going to call the...
Oh god, that is a 1,000-yard stare. Oh, wow.
Yeah, whereas if you look a few pages back, you can find the Soul Thief, which is just a job about murdering people, and I feel like that girl has really totally gotten into that.
And she's really embraced her job. It's a...
Yeah.
Do what
she
you love.
is like... Yeah. She is a vicious 8-year-old.
Yeah.
I gotta say,
yeah, if you look at things like the Witch or the Shepherd, you see that they are just having a grand old time.
Yeah. Yeah, the Witch's big thing is that while the rest of the friends are looking for a way home, the Witch doesn't want to go home. She really likes it there. She really likes flying around on her broom and cursing people and making friends with monsters.
That's fair.
Yeah.
But
and the Shepherd...
Yeah, Shepherd's all about just... Everybody loves a Shepherd. Shepherds have always been a great thing. And so, when you walk into a town, everybody's happy to see you. You got friends. You take care of sheep all day. It's an easier life.
Yeah. And the sheep in Yeld are great because they're not really sheep. They're like attack monsters that live in fields and are kind of mildly indestructible and can eat through anything. And so your job as a shepherd is to kind of herd these around and use them to protect villages and to protect travelers.
Man. But I'm really glad about one thing about sheeps, though.
Huh.
They look kind of flammable.
Yeah. Yeah.
Oh, yeah. Most things...
Well, and yeah, you'll find that everything burns pretty well. And there's lots of opportunities to set things on fire.
There is a special dice that monsters can get called Fireproof.
Oh, no.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
But
you can overcome that.
You'll have it. Yeah.
With enough fire, anything can be overcame.
Oh,
yeah. I gotta say, these monsters, I really have to wonder how powerful they are whenever they're being beaten by 7 to 12-year-olds.
Well, all right, so here's the thing.
You're not just 7 to 12-year-olds, you're heroes.
Yeah, when you first come to Yeld, you are a normal kid from our world. But once you and the monsters you're fighting are, you're not really fighting them so much as, you know, you might run up to a monster and hit it with a stick, and then it'll pick you up and bring you back to the village and be like, "Don't do that again," right? But later on, when you become heroes, you gain, you know, you gain this heroic job, and it's not just somebody saying, "Now go off and be a witch hunter." It's somebody imbuing this supernatural magical force in you that allows you to, you know, cleave through monsters and shrug off magic, and you become almost a superhero, where you are now equipped to go out and do like Conan style adventures, even though you're only 8 years old. So the monsters you face suddenly become much fiercer and much more terrifying, and are much more willing to just eat you alive and break you apart. But you are also, you know, carrying around a sword the size of your entire body, or, you know, throwing magic around that can knock the bones out of their face, and you are totally equipped for that.
Yeah, you become a threat, and the world sees you as such at that point. Where before that, you know, when you just came through the door, nobody sees you as a threat.
What's Death Wish?
Oh, Death Wish is a monster special dice, actually. Monsters have their own list of special dice they can take, but sometimes friends can take those as well, depending on what their job is or if they have a special weapon. Death Wish is a die that specifically allows you to stay alive for one more round after you lose your last tough dice. So you don't become a ghost for one more round, and you can keep taking normal actions.
So,
were you looking at Werewolf?
Mm-hmm.
So
Yeah.
I see tax collector. I
missed that, I'm sorry.
I see a tax collector here.
Yeah, tax collector.
That's one of the advanced jobs.
Yeah.
Yeah,
tax
there are
collector.
several advanced jobs that you can get later on after you've collected a certain amount of keys, and it replaces the heroic job you would have gained earlier. Each one is super unique and has a much more niche focus on what it actually does in the game.
Yeah.
Tax collector being one of those, ghost keeper being another.
Yeah. Tax collector is interesting. Each one of the advanced jobs allows you to manipulate one of the game's subsystems, and tax collector allows you to play with money and do interesting things with money.
Dude, I can become a tax accountant. Holy shit!
Oh yeah. There's a lot of magic in money.
Yeah, tax collectors are also like tax collecting is kind of a martial art. And they're heroes. The people of Yeld actually really like tax collectors because they take that money and they actually use it for, or they used to take that money and actually use it to improve the kingdom. But now the kingdom's ruled by an evil vampire prince, and he just, you know, steals all the money. So the heroic tax collectors are things that the people of Yeld really like, and the villainous tax collectors are people they fight against.
Yeah. And what you'll find is, you know, the tax collector really shines when the heroes are particularly rich. When the heroes are sitting on just tons of coins, the tax collector can do just these insane and amazing things. And so it's all very situational, much like the Ghost Keeper really shines if you have a group that's just obsessed with murdering monsters. Because the more monsters you murder, the more ghosts there are, and the Ghost Keeper's job is to handle that situation. Right?
Yeah. Or alternatively, if you have a group that keeps getting killed and they're always stuck in the ghost world, the Ghost Keeper can really protect them.
Nice.
Yeah, so all of those advanced jobs definitely have a special place and a special purpose. Where the heroic jobs are much more less focused, allowing you to do a little bit more with them.
Yeah, they're equally powerful, but in a more broad way. And something you can do is when you choose a job, you're not stuck in it for your entire game. You can visit the job trainer to switch to a different job, and the advanced jobs are jobs that you unlock that you can then switch to later on.
Yeah.
Whereas the monster jobs are. Oh yeah. Oh, I was going to say the monster jobs are jobs that when you turn 13, you have to choose one, and you're then stuck with that monster job for the rest of the game.
I see Oracle of the Serpent God. Just remember, never answer questions.
Yes.
I feel like I want to take that as just dodge the question.
Yeah, sure.
Yeah.
Just,
yeah.
You know, answer every question with another question.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah, and that's one of the monster jobs you can get.
Yeah.
There are several that are options for you when it happens.
Yeah.
But eventually it does, and then that's a really key focus. No matter how much time you spend as a soul thief or whatever you want, sooner or later you're going to be forced into becoming a monster. And monster jobs are powerful, but they all come with a hindrance to the friends and the group. So there's always a price to be paid with that. Vampires need to drink blood. The werewolf is sometimes uncontrollable. The deep mage can't always control their body, and sometimes their body just takes off and does other stuff. Like you were mentioning with the Oracle just can't tell the truth about anything, and is constantly forced to let the friends do stuff even though they know it's going to turn out bad.
Yeah, and if the Oracle does tell the truth, if the Oracle answers a question, like if somebody says, "How are you doing today?" and the Oracle goes, "I'm fine, thanks," it sets off a horrible chain of events, and there's consequences, and you have to roll on a fate table, and then bad things happen.
Oh God!
Every answer is "I'm dead inside."
Yeah,
but that is an answer.
Sooner or later, that comes true. Yeah.
Yeah. The Oracle is an interesting challenge. It's something I played in a game years ago, and just trying to communicate with the other people that you're playing with without actually answering or addressing any questions is ridiculously difficult.
That's really fun.
Yeah.
Oh yeah. No, it's a blast.
So, is this monstrous conversion something that's permanent? Like, there's no one doing it even if you find the keys and you go back?
There is. So the kids are trying to unlock the door home, but if they turn 13, they turn into monsters and they're stuck. They can't leave Yeld. They're stuck in Yeld. Yeld has taken hold of them and corrupted them. The only way they can solve this problem is to destroy the source of the Yeld's corruption, which is the vampire Prince Dragul, who took over Yeld 1,000 years ago and has been ruling it since then. So after you go through the game and defeat the 7 hunters of Yeld and capture their magical keys and you can unlock the door, you can choose to face the vampire prince and try to defeat him. And that is the game's toughest boss fight. We designed it to be very, very difficult. But if you can do that, your humanity is restored and you can all go home.
Yeah. I mean,
but that is not guaranteed.
If you guys haul ass and beat all 7 hunters before anybody ever turns 13, it's not a problem. You all just go home.
Yeah. Or, you don't have to go home. It's kind of cool being a monster. You get to run around, yell, and eat people. You can just keep playing the game as monsters, running around, doing cool monster stuff. There's plenty of content for that, too.
Yeah, just leave everybody else behind.
Yeah.
Yeah. And that's an important thing. As you go through the game, you get to the end of it. I mean, it might make sense role-playing wise that some players want to stay behind and others would want to leave. Motivation will change through play.
Or you might get a situation where one of the friends has become a monster and they can't go home, and the other friends are like, "Okay, we'll just stay here with you. That's cool." It depends on the group.
Yeah.
So yeah, it definitely forces the players to treat their time differently, and it also sets a priority. You sort of see the priorities of the players very early on in the sessions, because people will sort of really want to get stuff done, or they won't care, right? They'll just want to explore, and one of those two mentalities will affect what's going to happen later on. Either you're going to be very close to that 13. Or you've made great time, right?
Yeah, and time passes surprisingly fast. Yeld has a calendar, and every time a day goes by in the game, you mark off a day on the calendar. But also between our adventures, often a few days goes by. Yeld also has a map with I don't remember how many squares are on it, 36 squares, and traveling from one part of the map to another takes a few days. So it's really, really easy to say, hey, there's a holiday in that map square way over on the other side of the map that's coming up in 2 weeks. Let's totally travel and go to that holiday. We'll get some cool holiday gear. We'll have a holiday adventure. We'll have it's the King's Day feast holiday, so we're going to go there and we're going to participate in this tournament and we're going to win this cool stuff. and you do that adventure, and then you all of a sudden realize that 25 days have gone by, and that's like a quarter of the Yeld year, and that's just one adventure. So the years go by really fast. Your friends get older. Some of them change into monsters. You gain different jobs. You explore more of the map, and before you know it, you've all become monsters, or you're finding a way to unlock the door home. Yeah, and that's the shape of the game.
Yeah, that sounds really fun.
Well, we think it's fun.
This is something I'm gonna have to try and see if I'm gonna be able to play outside of this once we're done.
Sure.
Yeah,
like if I can find a group, which has always been a problem for me.
One of the things about it that we're not necessarily going to play with as much, but a core mechanic of the game is switching GMs. Each player has to take a turn running a session. Each session is referred to as an adventure. And so what you'll get is different perspectives of Yeld, different stories told by each individual and how they see Yeld. And I think that's a lot of fun. It also opens up the world to being much more diverse because it's not just one person's ideas.
Yeah.
It also invites other players to role play and gets that burden off of the back of a single person.
Yeah. Well, I'm guessing our other player is not going to be able to join us this time, which is fine. I don't think we're going to have any problem sitting aside a few minutes to help them create a character at the beginning of our first game. So, yeah, maybe we should just go ahead and wrap it up for today.
Alright, yeah, that sounds good. I don't know how Steven feels about this, but if you guys have anything you want to plug or anything that you guys are doing right now, then...
yeah, let me go ahead and say, we ran a Kickstarter for the Magical Land of Yeld a year and a half ago. We thought we were going to deliver our game within 6 months, but it's been a year and a half, and we just released the digital version of the game to our backers earlier this month, so we're pretty far behind schedule. However, our book is going to the printer next month, and we're hoping to have books back this summer, and at that time, both the books and the digital version of the game will be available for sale. So if anybody is listening to this and is interested, please, check that out this summer.
On top of that, make sure to check out modestmedusa.com, which is Jake's comic, which is also Yeld focused. So there's another plug.
Yeah. The Modest Medusa comic takes place in and around the Land of Yeld. So there's a lot of story and content there.
All right. Thank you all for being here and doing this for us.
Thanks for taking the time to make some characters with us, guys.
Yeah,
hopefully we'll have a lot of fun next week. Yeah.
All right.
Yeah, I'm really curious to see what you guys burn down next week.
Yeah, that's a fair thing. So if to anybody watching this on YouTube, which I checked is nobody, just nice. You can check us out on twitch.tv/rolls2astonish. And everybody on Twitch, you can check us out on our YouTube. Maybe show up there so it's not so lonely. Even though I'm not sure how many people are watching on Twitch either at this point, but I appreciate whoever's there.
We're gonna draw in so many people.
We are a big draw here.
Like, believe in it. If Bounty Babe can do it, we can do it.
Bounty Babes is definitely not the only series people watch. But thank you guys for coming here. I think that's where we're gonna wrap up today.
All right, great. Yeah, thanks for having us.
Yep, it's my pleasure. See
you guys next week.
Yep, I'll see you guys next week. We'll meet back here. Hopefully by then, Slay and Steven will have their characters ready.
Yeah.
And we'll get to burn down the flammable Land of Yeld.
The flammable Land of Yeld.
Sounds like a plan.
Alright. Good night, y'all.
See ya.
Yeah, good night.
See ya.